Why, hello, everyone. Welcome to Jolene's Happy Time Craftcast. I am indeed Joleen, and it is so lovely to be with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, I have a little bit of a dramatic update about what life has been like on the farm. So it starts back after my show last week. So last Wednesday night. It was kind of late. I don't know, maybe not, around 10ish, whatever. And I was in my bedroom. It was a beautiful evening. The windows were open, and I heard like animal sounds that sounded like someone somewhere was in a large amount of distress. And so it went on for a while, and it almost sounded like cats fighting, perhaps. But then I realized about 10 seconds in that the sound I was hearing was actually our rooster, Bert. And Bert was screaming his head off, just crazy, crazy screaming. And so I don't know where Darren was. So I texted him and I was like, Darren, our chickens are screaming. And so the next thing I hear is Darren out the back door. I can hear him in his boots going to the chicken coop. And sure enough, a raccoon came into the chicken coop and like drug one of our chickens away, like kind of by her butt, like just started dragging her. And Darren was making so much noise that the raccoon dropped the chicken and we were able to save the chicken and the chicken lived and all of that. Like it all worked out, right? Except for our sweet chicken that got snatched by the rooster. Like the other chickens are now being mean to her and like they're picking on her. And so now she's like in isolation. Like she has had a week. First the raccoon, and then they're picking on her. And now she's in isolation just to keep her safe. And then last night, the raccoon came back and they were locked up, but there's like this side hatch, where they can like get out the side. And Farmer Darren like forgot to lock it. And we don't want him to feel bad. These things happen, right? And so the raccoon came back last night and got a different chicken and like took her away. And so now we are down a chicken and we have a predator raccoon at Big Raven Farm. So it has been very dramatic, and we totally anthropomorphize our chickens and like think they're people and like we act ridiculous. But just know that Darren and Joleen have had quite a week in chicken drama. I mean, because we're new to this. I mean, 5 years in living in the country, and we're still not quite at the you lose animals as a part of life thing. Like we still are in like the tender bits of it, like hurting our feelings and being really sad and scary. So now we have to figure out what we do about a predator raccoon. So if you have any experience with that, you can go ahead and drop that in the comments because Darren and I, we're just kind of winging it. We don't really know like what we're doing, but today we feel really emotional about the loss of our chicken and the emotional distress that our other one is in. So anyway, that's what's new with me. Oh, and kind of in fun news, years ago when the kids were little, I drove a Mini Cooper and I loved that car so much. I mean, I was so good at getting like my son's hockey bags and my son's in that Mini Cooper, even though I had to like close the door with a hip check. I loved that car so much. But I eventually sold it to get something bigger. But now that I'm an empty nester, I've been dreaming about getting my Mini Cooper back. So I bought a Mini Cooper on Saturday. It's used, of course, new to me, but I'm so excited and it's so bougie. Like at night, and I mean, I don't have fancy cars. Like I used to drive a Ford Flex. So at night, when you open the door, this bougie car of mine, this is crazy. Like down on the ground, it shines the Mini Cooper logo. Like, I don't know what a person needs that for, but I love it. It's hysterical. And then on the inside, like the floorboards are pink and the handles are purple. And when you turn the dial on either the temperature or the volume, like it like kind of like does these swirling things with lights. It's like an artist's dream. And I'm just so excited that I once again have a Mini Cooper and I'm just absolutely thrilled. So dramatic chickens, new Mini Cooper, and that's kind of been my week. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to that. I love letting you know what's going on, but of course, we have other business to get to today. And today's guest very, very, very excited to talk to her. And we have a mutual connection, and we'll talk all about that here in a minute. But Heidi Heather, she is of HKH Studios, and she is an intuitive artist and storyteller like me. She's from Minnesota, and she creates really rich, layered work in oil and cold wax. And she uses panels that are made of wood and often reclaimed. And she has something called Stories on Wood. And then she also has abstract pieces. And what Heidi does is she invites reflection and connection, and she offers art that helps people reconnect with themselves in the natural world. And it's sweet and dreamy and creamy and layered and beautiful. And she has got a couple of really exciting announcements about what she's doing in her art life. And I'm going to let her tell you about those. And here she is. Please, please, please welcome Heidi Heather to the Happy Time Craftcast. Hi, Heidi.
Hello, Joleen and everyone else. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's our absolute pleasure. Absolutely. So, for people who are not familiar with your art, and when you describe it, what do you say? Like, what is your elevator pitch that describes
Mm.
your work?
I would say I'm a storyteller who helps people reconnect with themselves through my intricate, transformative worlds, whether it be my abstracts or my stories on wood.
Your stories on wood are so whimsical and sweet. Where do those characters come from?
It's like magic. I have no preconceived notion when I start painting what will emerge from those layers.
Mhm. And tell us about your mediums. So you are primarily oil, wax. What are you using to make this magic?
Yeah, so I start finger painting with acrylic paint. I use golden fluid acrylics.
Yep.
So it comes in a bottle and it squirts out in a nice,
Yes.
beautiful, juicy, liquidy
Yeah,
form,
it's
you
really
know?
runny and
Yeah.
get a lot of movement. I like the fluid acrylics too. Yeah.
Yes. So I
Mhm.
finger paint with those on the
Oh,
pieces of wood that I've
fun.
chosen. It is, and my hands get messy. I actually can use my palm, not only my fingers. So it's like the whole of it all, sensory experience, following the contours of the wood, the door, as well as the texture of the wood, and the paint, of course. It's
Oh
beautiful.
my gosh. So is the finger painting layer how you get all of your creamy backgrounds? Because I've
Mm,
noticed that they're kind of they're blended in such a way that it's not like you look at it and you go, "Oh, here's the pink, here's the white, here's the gray." Like they're just so creamy.
Oh, that's a beautiful adjective. I actually use, so that's kind of one of the further stages along the
Oh,
way.
okay. Mhm.
Yep. So no, it's not the finger painting that you see at all at the finished
Mm,
end result.
okay.
So once I see in the layers of the finger painting, images emerge, and
Yeah.
then I start blocking them out. So imagine the finger paintedness, and
Yes.
then it's kind of like looking into the clouds and
Okay.
pretending, or not pretending, but it's like, oh, there's a rabbit, or there's a tree, or a parrot, or whatever it is that you
Right,
might
right.
see in the clouds. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
And then I will block it out. So I'm showing you just a very small, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind
Okay.
of dark, but it's
Oh,
blocked out.
sure. And
So
then okay, and then I see the wax right down.
this is my wax seal. This is my
Yep.
signature. Um,
Cool.
but the blocking out of the images so that you can kind of get to the sense of the characters, the
Mhm.
beings in relation to one another. So
That's
this is
so
very,
cool.
very rough.
Right. So how did you decide that reclaimed wood would be your substrate?
Yes. At the time, I was working on artboard, which was a
Yeah.
material that you could score, break
Mhm.
apart,
Mhm.
and it was lacking. I was also kind of alternating between that and paper, and both were lacking a lot,
Yeah, like dimension or texture, or they're
or
just so smooth.
character or
Yeah.
history. And so I went to the Reuse Center when I was out on Lake Street in Hiawatha,
Yes.
and I came across a couple of cabinet doors that were on the
Mhm.
ground, and I was like, "Oh, that's curious." And I kept walking through. I found my great box that I hold my paints in, and I was like, "That's a treasure for sure."
Yep.
And then I keep walking, and I came across the whole section of full-size doors, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this might be it." So I start
Almost like a
flipping.
calling, it sounds like.
Yes,
It's just like,
yes.
"Heidi."
It was so cool, and so I started flipping through them, and then I came across that very first door, and I always title it "The Very First Door,"
That's so
because it
cute.
was $5, if you can imagine $5
Yep.
for this full-size door, and it was this beautiful shade of gray, warm gray,
Mhm.
completely worn, there was no paint to it whatsoever, and it was perfect. I'm like, I couldn't believe my luck.
Yeah.
And I brought it home and cut it into different sizes,
Yep.
and that became my substrate, my canvas.
That's awesome.
And
Have
then
you
everything flowed.
have you been an artist your whole life?
I would say probably yes.
Mhm.
I loved art in grade school, high school.
Yeah.
I went to college for studio arts.
Mhm.
Um, I only had one painting class. I focused primarily on printmaking,
Oh, cool.
and it's very similar in actually how I approach my painting. It's all
Mhm.
about the layers and the textures
Mhm.
and achieving what you can through line.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of how I started.
That's awesome. So do you get a chance to create and make every day?
I try to. If I'm not actually in the studio painting, I'm definitely noodling it around in my
Sure.
head. Yes, I'm like
Mhm.
figuring out a color combination or how I can better enhance a detail, or
Mhm.
just kind of how to bring it more to life in a way that feels authentic.
Right, right.
Yep.
So how can folks find you? Like where are you? Like how can they connect with your art or hold it in their hands, or like what are the ways in which they can experience HKH Studios? Mm,
Yes, I have a website. It's
mhm.
hkhstudios.com.
Yeah.
I also just put this morning together live my shop, which I'm super nervous about, but excited because on in my shop you can find prints of my originals, the
Yep.
stories on wood. I've also included some doodles that I've done and some portraits, and
Mhm.
so yeah, and coasters. I have some art coasters on there, snippets featuring beans from my stories on wood.
That's
So
so are you so have you, but you're also going to be out and about at some art fairs, yes?
yes, yes,
Mhm.
thank you. I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing the Excelsior Art Fair June 14th and 15th. So
Mm.
weekend from this coming weekend. And the following weekend after that, June 21st and 22nd, I'll be
Mhm.
at the Wyzetta's Art Experience.
Both of
So
those are really good shows. I've been to both of those in the
yeah,
past,
and they
and
were
there's
just
lots of fun
perfect.
things to see.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
I'm very pleased.
for our Minnesota friends, those are are things that you can get out and about and see and do, but your online store obviously is e-commerce, so people can connect with you that way. And I know that you mentioned a little something about a discount code. Would you like to tell our listeners about that?
Yes, now through June 18th, I offer 10% off in my shop,
That's
and the
nice.
discount code is episode 51, all
Oh,
tied
that's so
together.
clever. I love
Thank you.
that. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yes.
That's so sweet. I'll be sure to link it in our show notes and tell everybody again and all of that sort of thing. But thank you for doing that. We certainly appreciate it. So, do you have like one of the things that Happy Time Craftcast people love? And friends, go ahead and tell me that I'm right in the comments. We love talking about supplies. We love talking about technique. We love being inspired by tools that bring you happiness. So do you have like a favorite either project, medium, technique, supply, tool? Like what's your favorite?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think my favorites, I would say favorites because they're brushes and there's
Okay.
different sizes of brushes.
Okay.
But my ultimate favorite to achieve the detail that I have in my stories
Mhm.
on wood, I use a Winsor Newton watercolor brush,
Okay.
and it's a series 7, and it's
Yep.
available both in the miniature style as well as just a regular
Mhm.
style, if you will. And so I do anything from a 1 to a 0 to a double zero.
Woo!
Yes.
So in brush sizes, smaller number means smaller points, right?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
like the double zero is super, super small.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And Heidi, you don't wear glasses? Like I would like, oh my God, how do you even see that?
Yes, as I've gotten older, I now
Mhm.
require glasses.
Yeah, I
Yes,
didn't.
so
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
yep.
So the Winsor Newton watercolor brushes are your favorites. Okay. What else have you got for us? You've got other favorites?
Yeah, Gamblin cold wax medium.
Mm.
So you had asked earlier about the
Mhm.
kind of creamy texture in the background of my
Yes.
stories. I use the process of working with oil mixed with the cold wax,
Okay.
and that can it's super allows you to achieve very translucent or opaque
Sure.
layers, and that you can scratch down in, you can build it back up, you can add some
Mm.
solvents, remove it, build it back up, add some powdered pigments. You know, you can, it's just so beautifully manipulative, and that is what my abstractions are also made out of.
Wow.
So I tend to work on both at the same time, my abstract pieces as
Sure.
well as my stories in wood, because they tend to really easily flow between the two. I can
Mhm.
take what I learned from one and apply it to the other,
Right.
and vice versa. Yep.
So how did you like, have you played around with other wax, like encaustic or
hmm
any of those other.
Yes, yes, I did do encaustic for a number of years, and that is a
Yeah.
luscious medium. I just love the smell. I love the
Mhm.
texture. I didn't taste it, but it's almost tasteable, don't you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. And I had the ventilation set up in my studio, and then we
Mhm.
had a hailstorm. We got new windows and no longer the ventilation system.
Mm.
So, because of the need for ventilation of the toxic fumes, I then learned about cold wax and am able to achieve um, some really interesting effects with it, even though it was fun playing with fire.
Right, right.
Yeah, the
I get that.
caustic.
Yeah, I get that. So with the cold wax, like, okay, so for those of us who might wanna, like, dabble, like, give it a try, right? Do you
Mhm.
have, like, ideas for kind of like a low risk, not precious, like, how can a person just give it a try and see if it's something they want to incorporate into their practice?
Yes, by all means. I think it works best on a hard surface.
Mhm.
Canvas, I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
So you could probably even use it on that artboard we talked about
Mhm.
earlier, or a plywood or panels, artist panels that are readily available at
Mhm.
your local store.
Mhm.
And there's a great book by Rebecca Crowell
Okay.
that is on cold wax, and it takes you through the
Cool.
very beginning. And I took a workshop from her years ago,
Mhm.
and very influential in my ability to now work with a medium in a way that I
Mhm.
think is effective.
Right.
So, yeah, so
Wow.
just a matter of playing around with it. You can use the ratio of 50-50 or 60-40 oil to wax, and you mix it with a palette knife. You can use a squeegee or a brayer and just apply it to that substrate, and getting a feel for how it lays down.
Yeah.
The key is not to get muddy, though.
Right.
Very
I'm
easy to get
so, like,
muddy.
intrigued. I wanna try. I don't even know what I wanna try it on. I totally wanna try. I wanna play around with this and just, I don't know, see what it does.
Yes, yes, it's a beautiful medium. It's
Mhm.
There's nothing quite like it.
So, what is on your work table right now? Like what are you working on, or what are you excited about?
I'm working on a new story on wood,
Okay.
and right now we've been prepping a lot for the art fairs coming up,
Yeah. Hmm.
so getting ready for those. Excuse me. And then I have some abstractions that are about one underway, and I have panels ready to start new, afresh.
So
So,
have you always done like the abstract and the whimsical? Like, or did you do one and then you brought in the other? Or like how, because they're kind of like the extremes, right? Of that continuum, you know?
right.
And I know that they have similarities from what you shared earlier, but like, I don't know. I feel like my abstract brain is very different from my literal artistic brain. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, that's a great question. I didn't always do abstract painting.
Right.
It was only when I thought or felt the need to loosen up,
Yeah.
because I can, because I can be so tightly controlled in my brushwork, especially
Mhm.
working with those tiny brushes.
Yep.
And I decided to take an abstract painting class,
Mhm.
and every part of it hurt. I was standing, not sitting. I was using big brushes, not small brushes. I was getting really messy, had no clue what I was doing.
Mhm.
Everything was so stretched outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And with it, though, came this freedom also to really just express yourself and really just kind of get into it nitty gritty.
Mhm.
There's a beautiful sense of release, if you will, that
Sure.
comes with working large.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language. Like my language is messy, messy, big, um, kind of loosey free. Except, lately for me on my work table, I've been working with so many mosaics. And, my substrate is usually bookboard is my medium.
Mhm.
And my backgrounds, like you, are anything reclaimed that I can kind of save from the garbage or the landfill and turn it into my background. And so, like, I've been talking about on the show that I have in my mind, I want to make a bear, and and recently, so Darren thought that he was hallucinating, because he went from the house across the yard, and he swears out of the corner of his eye he saw a bear. And we live in southern Minnesota where there are not bears. And he was like, he's like, I don't even want to say anything because I'm so embarrassed because I don't know if I really saw what I saw. But he's like, I swear I saw a bear kind of just loping across the cornfield, and nothing's planted. I mean, things are planted, but they haven't grown yet. So like you've got like really good, you can see for a ways. And I had no, I don't know. I'm like, maybe he's nuts. Who knows? But we kind of kept this under wraps for a while, and we didn't tell anyone that Darren thought he saw a bear until 3 days ago. There was a Facebook post in our community saying, "Hey, everybody, we saw a bear, and just be on the lookout, and it's just a little baby black bear, and blah 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 blah." And so I'm like, okay, so I've been thinking about a bear. We had a bear walk through the cornfield, and I just feel like the universe is like solidifying for me that I just need to make this bear. And so I don't want it to be real. I don't want it to look, it's almost like my vision on my work table is almost like a quilt, like English paper piecing in a way, where
Mm.
each and every piece of my bear fits nice and snug, but it's made out of a different book cover.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, what I've been playing around with on my work table is, since I use book covers, I can't use grout. I can't get it wet. I can't,
Mm.
like make up something to cover my spaces. And so, I've been playing around with, actually, I found black hot glue. And I've been
Ooh.
trying to get them as close as possible, and then filling in with a detailed glue gun, this black hot glue, and then I quickly wipe it up with my finger so that it looks like grout. So I need a little bit more testing because it does, like, I
Mm.
don't want it to look too unrefined, if that makes sense. But I'm still in the technique phase of figuring out how I'm going to mosaic this bear. And because it's me, I want it to be huge. Like I don't want just a little 8 by 10 bear. I want a huge, 50-inch bear.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, so
Cool.
that's what I'm working on and still trying to figure out how I'm going to accomplish this. So
Well, I wish you luck with that.
thank you. Thank you. And friends, those of you here listening, tell me what you think about this grout thing because it can't be wet because it will damage the book board. It has to be like something that will, because I don't want gaps, right? And the last one I made, my sunray, that one took me, I'm looking at it, that one took me about 3 months to finish. And I'm happy with it, but I would rather this time have a experience that isn't quite as frustrating. Does that happen to you? Do you ever get frustrated with your pieces?
Oh my gosh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And you just have to walk away and
Right?
try not to stress about it
Right?
and just allow the process to be what it is.
Yes, this thing
Yeah.
that I'm supposed to be getting so much joy from. I'm
Right.
swearing a lot.
Kind of the counter to being joyful or
Right?
calm. Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. So with these art fairs, can you tell us a little bit about what what do people say to you when they come to your booth?
Oh my gosh, that's a great.
Mm.
Anything from, oh, how whimsical
Sure.
to, uh, golly, I hope I can think of this one. Oh, it was beautiful but scary. Or
Oh,
there, kind of some people can see some darkness to my work.
really?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I could see that potentially.
yeah, especially with the stories on wood. I think there
Yeah.
can be a little of that. Yeah.
And all
So,
of your work, do you have one that's your favorite? Do you have a favorite child?
ooh, that is an excellent question. Um, it's like a really good book. You're
Yeah,
reading, you get attached to all the characters, but you're
sure.
probably attached to probably one more so
Mhm.
than the others. And I I would say that might be so within each painting, there's probably, yes, one that I really resonate with and that I'm
Right.
really attached to. And then, like a good book, you never want it to end, but
Mhm.
continuing to paint over what you've already painted doesn't make sense because it's already done and done. So you
Mhm.
just have to let it go and there'll be a new book.
Right. Are there pieces that you would never, part with? Like, "I'm not selling it, I'm not letting it go no matter what."
There used to be, yes. I
Mm,
have some from my earlier days
sure.
that I just don't have any desire to sell. But nowadays, I tend to want all of these to find their home where they're meant
Right.
to be with the
Mhm.
people that will really appreciate and connect with them.
Oh, that's really, really awesome. That's like a good artist perspective or statement or like that letting go that I think is hard for
Mhm.
so many of us, especially when, I'm sure you're like me, like I can't just knock these things out quickly.
No, they
Right?
take hours.
Yeah, it takes some time to complete these projects and, to say goodbye sometimes. But I think that that practice of letting go is actually every time I do it, I feel like that was good for me.
Yes, yes. There
Mhm.
is in life and in
Mhm.
art, letting
Right,
go, surrender. Yes.
right, exactly.
Yep. Yep.
So, can you share? Because my Happy Time Craftcast listeners also really like to hear about, like, what are you reading or where are you finding inspiration or, like, do you have books you can recommend or things that help you feel even more connected to your art form?
Yes, right now there's a fictional book that I'm reading called Thistlefoot. I don't
Oh,
remember the
yes.
author. Have you read it?
Yeah, I have heard of it and from other artist friends as well.
Oh my
Mhm,
gosh, it's so delightfully imaginative. It's
mhm.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, in particular when it comes to fiction, because it has to have a really deep imagination and
Sure.
the senses to all be
Mhm,
experienced when you
mhm.
read. So that is definitely one. I'm reading a nonfiction book, um, Heroines with a 1001 Faces, talking about women and the power of women, and
Nice.
I know it's very empowering
Yeah.
reading it, knowing that we have so much to offer, and
Mhm,
the stereotypes and generalities that we're
mhm,
automatically lumped into. So I'm reading that. I'm reading, well, I think those are the two primarily the ones that I'm reading right now, but I have my favorites for sure.
okay,
So starting out, my grandma had given me when I was quite young a book called If You Want to Write. It's by Brenda Euland,
okay.
and it talks about writing, but I apply it to any art form, whether it's
Mhm,
musicians or bookbinding or
mhm.
anything really.
Yeah,
There's no right or wrong. And um, she just says, with complete self trust, you can do, or what, how does she say it? Um, because you're a human being, all you have to do is to get out truthfully what is inside of you, and it will be interesting and it will be good.
yeah.
I mean, there's so much in
Mhm.
here that I got from my grandma back in 1991, actually.
Aw.
So
What was your
it's just
grandma's name?
Grandma Max.
Max? Was her name
Uh-huh.
Maxine or
It was, it
yeah,
was.
my
Yeah.
grandma's name was Myrtle. Isn't that just
Oh,
precious?
I had a cat named Myrtle.
Yeah. Well, and
I
like
love that name.
my grandma's name was Myrtle Sophia, and I always wondered if she was ever like, why parents? Why did we go Myrtle Sophia and not Sophia
Yes,
Myrtle?" But
yes.
but she was from a big family, and lots
Mm,
of siblings, but yes. Mm,
yeah.
mm,
So this book was just it's all about finding your truth and
mhm,
finding your heart and
mhm,
following the passion that is inside both in
mhm.
order to create, and that will be a success then.
I love that. We'll be sure to link that in the show notes.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I wanna read it.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. And then
Mhm.
the other favorite book is Life, Paint, and Passion
Okay. Ooh,
by Michelle Casso and
okay.
Stuart Cubley.
Life, paint, and passion. I love the cover.
I know, right? And
Mhm.
it's all about reclaiming the spontaneous expression.
Ah,
There is no bad. There is
right?
no have tos or
Mhm.
shoulds. You get rid of all of that and you just express free
Yep,
from the heart.
yep.
And yeah, I would highly recommend that too.
Well, in the fluid acrylics, if we can link back to that. So
Yeah.
I've been playing around with those lately too in painting papers, because I've been like a little hard on myself that um, I don't. I've always said I don't really possess fine art skills. Like I can't paint a cat. I can't even draw a cat. Like I don't have like the ability to like do more fine motor things. I'm more big, messy. I'm more of a builder really. Like I can build things
Mm.
or shape or sculpt things. But lately I've been thinking a lot about and I can make anything with paper. So I've been thinking about taking my painted papers and using those as my paintbrush and creating flowers,
Mm.
backgrounds, scenes, shapes. And on my list of things I would love to manifest is I would love to come up with my own wallpaper actually to use here at the farm, but it would be something that I've created, so it would be a whimsical bird or a whimsical flower. It wouldn't necessarily be too realistic, but I think that there are just so many like programs and apps that can help artists like us bring our ideas to a real tangible form. And so these fluid acrylics have just been creating the most amazing painted papers for me.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
Doesn't it sound cool? I could
Yeah.
some of your things as wallpaper too, like because you could I would love to have a bathroom like with one of your whole stories. That would be so juicy.
It's it's definitely possible. And
Isn't it?
I started working
Mhm.
last year with a mural artist where
Yes.
she can take from my stories and apply that to a room.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Exactly.
bringing it to
Exactly.
full life is
Yes.
a whole nother
No,
world.
right? Well, and I've talked about this artist before, but like one of my favorites is her name is Estee McLeod. I mean, talk about like an artist name, right? She's from the UK. She is an artist and a surface pattern designer,
Mhm.
and she creates what she calls analog. So she builds in real life, and then she like takes that to the wallpaper people and is like, okay, make this thing into wallpaper. And I'm like,
Whoa.
that is brilliant. That is just such a cool idea. And I was definitely inspired by her talking about it because I thought, how amazing, right? To have, and I don't know what she started with, but, her 20 by 24. And then now all of a sudden it's a whole room. Like, I love that.
Yes, that
Yeah,
sounds
and that's
amazing.
possible for people like us now, like, I love
Mhm.
it, I love it. Oh my gosh, okay, so we've heard about your favorite books, we know a little bit about your favorite tools, we know where we can find you, we know that you are for our Minnesota friends, you will be in Excelsior and Wayzata, we will be sure to link that in the show notes. We know today is a very big day and that you opened your store, and there's a discount code, which is episode 51. And
Mhm.
that's good
Mhm.
until the 18th. Is there anything I forgot to ask you? Anything else you'd like all of our listeners to know?
I will be a part of a Studio West art tour this September. It's through the Hopkins Center for the Arts,
Nice.
and details will be coming, but I'm hoping that I'll be hosting here in my home studio with one or two other artists that are local. So,
Wow.
so as I know more, details will be put onto my website and social media as we get closer to September.
Awesome.
But I will be doing Ann Arbor for any of you outside of Minnesota. I'll be in Ann
Ooh,
Arbor in July.
wow, you're gonna travel.
I am going to travel for the first
Yeah,
time ever, but I'm super excited. It's an all original show, no
nice.
reproductions of any kind. And to have
Perfect.
gotten in, I'm beyond pleased.
Oh,
So,
that's really exciting. We'll put all of that in the show notes for
okay.
100% sure
Well,
so that
thank
people
you.
can find you and where they can find you on Instagram. And, I have to also just give a little shout out. So we have a mutual friend. Her name is Nikki. And Nikki, if you're listening, thank you so much for being like so awesome and inspiring. And you didn't even know that you did it, I don't think. But because I follow Nikki and Nikki follows you, that's how we found you today. And I'm just so grateful that you were able to take time out of your schedule to visit with us. And before I let you go, though, I have to transition us to what has become one of our favorite segments here on the Happy Time Craftcast. And that is, I've got 10 questions for you and you can answer with one word, you can elaborate. It just gives us a chance to know you even a little bit better. And they're super simple questions typically. so,
Okay.
so Heidi, oh, that's not it. That's not it. It's this. What's your favorite word?
Curious.
Oh my gosh, so fast. That's a good word. I like that
Mhm.
word. Uh, I think does your favorite word change? Like, is it kind of like environmental?
No, curious seems to be able to be applied to just about anything.
Okay, I love that. Mine mine kinda changes, um, kind of this year, 2025, I've tried for the first time to have, like, a word of the year, if you've heard about people doing that,
Hmm.
and, I decided that my word for this year was arrival. And the reason I chose that is because my favorite aunt Carol, when she comes to our farm, she's amazing. And she'll sit down or she'll look around and she'll ask Darren and I if we ever take a moment to just appreciate where we've landed, right? Does she like do you
Mm.
guys ever just sit down and look around and enjoy what you've got? And the answer is always no. Because we are classic Gen Xers with an incredible amount of drive and ambition, and we're just always chasing, like chase and hustle, chase and hustle. And I've realized here that like this year, I'm trying really hard to recognize that, like, where the hell am I going? Like, I'm here, like I've arrived. It's great. Life is great. Things are good. I can, settle down on my chase and just enjoy a little bit.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, It's a work in progress. I don't always do it, but I'm definitely working on it. Now, for those of you who are here live, we want to know your favorite words too. So put those in the comments because I'm nosy and I must know. Okay, what about this one? Do you have a least favorite word?
Victim.
Wow, you are so fast. Yeah, okay, I could see that. I could see that. I think my least favorite words are about, you know what? I spent some time with my son Charlie recently, and I do not like it when Charlie calls me bro.
Mm.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm
I could see that.
I'm like mom, mommy, mama, and he's 21, mother, any of those things. But Charles, I don't like it when you call me bro. Have you ever had the pleasure of a child calling you bro or
No, I
bro?
can't say I have.
Oh, oh. It has become my least favorite. All right, this one is very serious, but it's so important. So we must know, to you, what is the best kind of sandwich?
I would say grilled cheese.
Do you like it with anything on it, or do you just go standard?
It has to be really good bread.
Yep.
Yeah, and to be really decadent, maybe two or three different kinds of cheese.
Ooh,
And it has
nice.
to be grilled nicely so that it is not floppy. There's nothing worse than a floppy grilled cheese.
Nothing worse. Nothing worse. I like grilled cheese too. I really do. I also like, I'm kind of like, I don't want to wish the summer away, but like in later summer, I really do enjoy a good BLT, but I like the
Mm.
teas from our neighbor's garden because they are so, so good. And I would love to have a garden here on the farm. And our first year we did. But again, we're so naive and stupid. Um, we, we built our garden just really steps from our driveway, like, and pretty close to like humanity. And we were like, the deer will never come this close. Well, that was nonsense. I mean, they basically come up to my back door. And so until we build some kind of like stockade or structure, there's no garden for me until we figure out how to protect it. But do you garden too? Don't you?
We do. We have a very extensive garden, primarily perennials filled with lots of natives. We have
Oh,
a pond, and I do attempt to garden with vegetables, but it is to keep the tomatoes away from the deer and our dog who loves
yeah.
vegetables. He'll pick
Mhm.
the peppers right off, the tomatoes right off the plants, and eat them right then
What
and
a little
there.
scoundrel. My
You know,
goodness. Our
yeah.
chickens like our tomatoes too, like, and they don't really eat them, but they just like to pluck at them and make them pop. So they just have like all
Mm,
these little beak holes in them. So
yeah, yeah.
it's not incredibly productive, but that's what they do. But my father-in-law he lives in Brainerd and he built an amazing surround for his garden. And so we've got the plans, we have the ambition, we just don't have the time. But I would
Hmm.
really like to have that happen here for next year because I think nothing better than, right?
No, there's nothing better.
Nothing better, nothing better. I love that Karen has shared in the comments that her favorite word, like me, changes, but it's usually color. Karen, that's so cute. I love that so, so much. I can get behind that for sure. All right. So, Heidi, back to you. Do you believe there is a scary animal? And if so, what do you think it is?
I tend to not be afraid of anything scary.
Mm,
So even if it's a
amazing.
poisonous snake or piranhas, swimming with piranhas, or yeah, I tend to not be very fearful when it comes to the animal world.
Well, I haven't been really afraid of I think I've seen too many videos of, like, really cute raccoons, and so I've been thinking that, like like, they're our friends, but now that we have, like, a predator raccoon, I'm a little and not worried for my own safety, I'm worried for my chickens that this raccoon is, like, gotten a taste, and they know
Mm,
and they know where our chicken coop is, and they know where the door is, and, like, they've made 2 visits now, and so I'm a
true.
little bit worried for my ladies. I'm a little thinking we have to like beef up security.
Yes.
to keep our chickens safe. So right now it's this raccoon. It's this one particular raccoon. Let me say, I won't generalize, but this one particular raccoon is like got a thing for my chickens. So I find that to be a little scary. Um,
Understood.
so okay. So what does being an artist mean to you?
Mm, it means to me, being an artist means to me being really truthful, authentic, um, with, well, it's all about connection. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about spirit, um, speaking from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. To me, I think it like I feel the most at home in my role as an artist. Of all the hats that I wear, it is like I'm never at work when I'm being my artistic self. I'm never like when I'm doing other things, I have my artistic life in the back of my mind always. But when
Mm,
I am being my artistic self, I'm always fully present. I'm not thinking about my other roles,
true. True,
right?
true, true.
That makes
Yes.
so I
Yeah.
feel the most at home. And, one of the things I would love to either, I guess, you speak it into existence, but I would love to figure out for myself how my artistic life becomes a bigger piece of the pie. So that I don't have to have three other jobs. Not that I don't love my other jobs, but just like that feeling of being where I belong, you
That
know.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, and I don't exactly know how to do it, so I would love to, figure that out. Um, but yeah, I love being at home in that way. Is there a sound or a noise that you love?
Oh, I love the sound of the wrens, the
Oh,
birds.
what is it high pitched? Is it melodic?
It's melodic, it's
Mhm.
loud.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and seemingly so full of joy.
Right.
And they have so much to say.
Yes, they are very chatty.
They are. They are. Yeah, I just love them.
We have those here on our farm too. I would say that the sound or noise that I love, it's kind of new because it used to irritate me a little bit. But my dog, Augie, he is 13 years old. He is the world's best animal. He is a blue heeler. And he doesn't even really know he's a dog. He doesn't really bark. He loves people. He loves going to yoga. He gets upset when he doesn't get to go to my yoga classes. He just paces. He loves yoga. He loves greeting everybody. And during Shavasana, I was teaching a class yesterday. During Shavasana, he just chills out on his blanket and he's very quiet and he licks his paws. And the sound used to irritate my soul. I used to kind of like reach over and grab him to kind of shush him. But now I actually really, really love the sound
Hmm.
because everyone is in their final resting posture. And, it's right before they transition and go back to their busy lives. And like we all have got Augie there just kind of being his best self. And it's just kind of now become like a meditative rhythmic sound that I will one day miss when it's not there. But I did not say that. Like I don't want to speak that into existence. But I love that sound.
Oh.
I know. I love
What?
him.
Yeah, I'll have to
Mm,
maybe appreciate my dog when he does that
I
instead of getting
know.
annoyed.
I know. It's easy to get annoyed and like, he's a man, like he's a grown man and it just for him I think it's a little bit habitual as well. Like I don't think he knows he's
Mhm.
doing it because he does it all the time. But I've decided to embrace that sound
Yeah,
as something very soothing
that's
instead of
beautiful.
being annoyed. So good luck with it. It took me a long time. So, is there a sound or a noise that you do not enjoy as much? And for those of you live, I want to know yours too, because I'm nosy. What sound
Mm,
or noise do you hate?
I think I've gotten to hate the fireworks
Yes,
because of the impact on my dog.
yes. You are not the first guest to say this.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that we have heard that a couple of times now. And you know what I think too? I think that some of my references to sounds I don't like kind of date me a little bit. Like if I were to say fingernails on a chalkboard, I don't know that everybody knows what that sound is.
True, true, true.
Right? I
Yeah.
hate that sound. Like, even just watching like, media or TV where they're like writing on a chalkboard, I must have had some like trauma because I'm like braced, just waiting for it to happen and send like a shiver down my spine. I just hate that sound so much. Oh. Good for
Hmm.
me. I'm not around it, but I still
Yes.
hate it. I still hate it. Okay. Is there a profession other than the one that you have that you would someday like to attempt or maybe wish you would have attempted?
No, I am where I'm meant to be.
Mhm. That's awesome. I sometimes think about, I'd like to take my artwork into metal, and I think I wanna be a welder, um, but I'm really accident prone and very clumsy, so there is no one in my family that thinks that's a good idea, but I still kinda just dream about it a little bit, and Karen, thank you so much. Karen is participating in my nosy questions. Karen agrees that first thought was fireworks. Like those big booms are so upsetting to our animals and to our veterans. So, yeah, there are a lot of people who do not like that sound. And you know what? The season is coming up, isn't it? So,
It is.
and I feel like it depends upon where you live. Like I live really close to Wisconsin, and different fireworks are legal in Wisconsin, I think, than Minnesota. And so,
Hmm.
like, they're intensity is different or something. So, and what you can have is different. I know it varies from state to state,
Hmm.
but I agree. Like, I do not like how it upsets my animal. Ugh. Oh, and then finally, Heidi, since we are all about happiness, what brings you the most happiness?
Ooh, now this is the tough question.
Mm.
The most happiness. Oh, I think a day that I can be completely on my own. Well, no. Oh, that's really hard. I
Mhm.
mean, I am truly happy when my husband and I are exploring and traveling
Sure.
together.
Mhm.
Um, I'm truly happy when I get to putter in the garden, come in and work on the
Mhm.
art, maybe
Mhm.
go in the kitchen to make something, go back out into the garden,
Oh,
and just
yeah.
have this free day of just following my whim and
Yeah.
fancy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving
Yep.
from, like, your interests and hobbies and your passions, like, that sounds great. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. Um, I think for me, it is when I believe the things I say about arrival and peace and acceptance and where I let down when I let down my drive and that
Mm,
I am not in pursuit of the next great thing, but just living in my moments that I've already created. Um, that's happiness when I can get there, but I have to work at it a little bit. Um, but I do love it. I love it. And I know what you're talking about with that feeling of almost like wandering, without the
mhm.
the pressure of to-do lists or productivity, but just kind of like being in what you enjoy and what brings you the most
Yeah.
fulfillment.
Yes. Being in
Sounds
the moment,
yeah,
completely
doesn't it sound
mindful
kind of
of,
luscious?
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
indeed.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being with me today. I mean, I told you an hour would go by so fast.
It
And
did.
it has. And I will make sure I will keep all of my promises. We will link all of the places that people can find you. We know where you'll be live. We can find you on your website. I'm going to link your favorite books and your favorite supplies, where you are on social so people can find you that way. And honestly, Heidi, so much success as you go out today with your store being live and you go to these events and shows. I really love what you're doing. And I'm so grateful that you were able to take the time to share it with us today. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Absolutely.
Mm.
And if you are able to join me on my next Happy Time Craftcast, I'm very excited. I will be welcoming back Suzanne Early. Suzanne has been a great friend of the show. She's going to be back. She is the editor and publisher of Strawberry Moon Magazine, one of my absolute
Mm.
favorite art journaling magazines. I mean, probably my favorite. Like, she's so good. I love the paper. I love her style. I love everything about her. But Suzanne will be with me next week, June 11th, where we will be talking about art journaling and Strawberry Moon. So I hope you will be able to join me then. And once again, Heidi, thank you so much. And everybody, we will see you next time, next Wednesday, June 11th. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.